Rabbit Hole Roundup, episode 118, Patrick Star's 10 Best Moments. So guys, in today's edition of the Rabbit Hole Roundup, of course I'm starting things off with our latest list, which is going to be a fun one. We have Patrick Star's 10 Best Moments / lines on SpongeBob.
That makes sense to me.
Then take it.
It's not my wallet.
For all my fellow kids who grew up in the 90s and the 2000s, we all know like peak humor and like what it's supposed to look like, and SpongeBob during that time was definitely peak humor. And so as of course any real SpongeBob fans know, those first few seasons were the absolute best, and a huge part of that was of course Patrick's timing and delivery always being on point. So I'll be sharing some of my favorite lines that always have me cracking up. Following that, I'll be reviewing the new Freakier Friday movie, aka Freakier Friday, which came out last year if I'm not mistaken. And I will be giving away like a few spoilers, so I'm going to be warning you when that section comes up, in case you guys plan on watching it and like haven't done so already, so that this way you could skip over that section. But overall, I thought it was like a really good movie, and the nostalgic value definitely hit hard.
I didn't want to be a part of this family, and now I'm part of some dodgy family curse.
Especially since the first movie was an absolute classic. After that, I'll be sharing a clip coming from Sam Demma, where he talks about like not sacrificing your values for any short-term pleasure. A message that like I of course wholeheartedly agree with. And then we have a clip coming from Joel Madden's podcast, Artist Friendly, which has actually been like one of my recent favorites. And so in this clip, he's joined by the singer of OAR. I think his name is like Mark Roberge, something like that. Hopefully I got that right. But in this clip, both of them are talking about like how your dreams are always going to seem silly until it becomes a reality. And I can totally relate to this message and like have some personal stories to share on it. And finally, we'll have this week's sports recap. We'll be doing NBA playoff talk as well as like MLB news and whatever else I may find. So anyways, without further ado, let's dive deeper now. Rabbit hole time, let's go.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
What's happening, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Jared Weiss. If you guys didn't know that, it must mean that you're not subscribed to the channel, so you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, make sure to leave a like, drop a comment, let me know your thoughts on the video. Follow me on every platform, and if you guys haven't done so already, make sure to check out my book, Fight Through It by Jared Weiss. All links to purchase it on my website, which is jaredryanweiss.com. That's JAREDRYANWEISS.com. Buy the book, support me, and make sure to check out all the awesome shirts in there as well. Every shirt has been designed by me, every shirt is made of 100% organic cotton, so any support at all, as I'm always saying, would be very greatly appreciated. So let's dive deeper into this rabbit hole now. So as any real SpongeBob fans out there know, seasons 1 through 4 were absolute peak comedy, but honestly, even like 5 through 8 were still like really good in my opinion. And so this of course also meant peak Patrick Star. If you know, you know, his character and like his delivery and timing were always spot on flawless. And I see him as like one of the funniest characters in TV history. So for today's top 5 list, we're actually bumping it up to 10 because like I couldn't settle on just like 5 for this topic. And it's going to be a lot of fun. We're doing Patrick Star's 10 best lines / moments on SpongeBob. And just to be clear, I know like I'm bound to miss some, so you guys are going to have to help me in the comments below. Anyways, coming in at number 1, we have the classic, Is Mayonnaise an Instrument?
Is mayonnaise an instrument?
No, Patrick, mayonnaise is not an instrument.
This is of course coming from the scene in the episode Band Geeks, and Squidward is trying to be like super serious conductor, and Patrick asks him, very seriously himself, is mayonnaise an instrument? And then Squidward, anticipating his next question, goes, no Patrick, neither is horseradish.
Horseradish is not an instrument either.
That whole episode is an absolute classic. Number 2, I'm going with the classic line, that's not my wallet. So this is of course coming from the episode where SpongeBob and Patrick are trying to like rehabilitate Man Ray and trying to like help him become a good person. So SpongeBob tells Patrick to drop his wallet, and Man Ray keeps trying to return it, and yet like Patrick keeps saying to him, that's not my wallet.
This must be your wallet.
That makes sense to me.
Then take it.
It's not my wallet.
In spite of his name being on the license, and like in spite of the fact like he lost his wallet. And his timing is so perfect, and like Man Ray is like a very clear crash out.
Oh, you gimbal! Take back your wallet or I'll rip your arms off!
And then of course the following scene, Man Ray keeps on dropping this box on his foot, which just so happens to be full of Patrick's wallets. I die of laughter every time like I watch that scene.
Would you like some help with... Ow!
What's in that box anyhow?
My wallets.
Number 3, I'm going with the scene in the episode Wet Painters, when of course SpongeBob and Patrick are like being asked to paint Mr. Krabs' house, but like not to get paint stains on anything, especially his dollar bill, which he has framed. And so of course a giant paint bubble explodes and gets a tiny spot of paint on Mr. Krabs' prized possession, his first dollar I think it was. So then after trying some like ridiculous methods to get the stain out, Patrick goes, "We're not cavemen, we have technology," and then proceeds like to smash the computer a bunch of times.
Wait, SpongeBob! We're not cavemen! We have technology!
Classic Patrick stupidity. Number 4, I'm going with the scene in the episode where SpongeBob and Patrick are trying to help like Mr. Krabs find his buried treasure, coming from like a board game I think. And Mr. Krabs goes like, "I said 40 paces east, it should be right here." And then Patrick out of nowhere goes, "Oh, east? I thought you said west." And then Mr. Krabs goes, "What kind of compass are you reading, lad?"
Supposed to be right here. 10,000 paces east.
Oh, east? I thought you said west.
West? What kind of compass are you reading, lad?
And so he of course shows him the compass, and he goes, "That's west, Patrick." Number 5, we have the scene where SpongeBob, Patrick, and Squidward all end up on like the Flying Dutchman's ship after like climbing up a rope. This episode of course has like several really good Patrick lines. You've got of course the whole "leedle leedle lee." You also have "moving behind the rocks," and then like the ship breaks. You also have like when Patrick goes, "I have an idea, let's leave." But my absolute favorite from that episode, it's not what Patrick says, but like as Squidward and SpongeBob are like talking to the Flying Dutchman, trying to like negotiate a way out of there. Patrick is just standing there in like an absolute daze, and like he looks like he's high or something.
He wants to complain to you.
No, I don't.
No, wait, it was his mother you said was dirty, not his ship.
I don't know like who the first person was like to point that out, but now I can't unsee it anytime like I watch the episode. Number 6, my 6th favorite Patrick Star line or moment. I'm going with the scene probably coming from like my favorite episode, House Fancy. And so of course Squidward is like trying to make his house super impressive, but like everything falls apart. The whole house is like a giant mess. And he's losing it. And, like out of nowhere, Patrick just like walks in the house, tells Squidward like he has to use his bathroom, no questions. And then of course a minute later he walks out saying, "I wouldn't go in there for a couple days or weeks."
I wouldn't go in there for a couple days or weeks.
And then the toilet comes out and like dies. He says to Squidward like, "Have mercy on my soul."
Please, please, somebody put me out of my misery. Have mercy on my soul.
Number 7, we have the chocolate. Wait. Number 7, we have the chocolate. Restart. Number 7, we have the chocolate with nuts episode. And so in this case, I'm actually going with like a double line, aka back-to-back lines. Or rather, back-to-back scenes. So first, SpongeBob tells Patrick like he has to focus more. So his eyes are actually locked on the customer, and like the customer then like closes the door on his eyes, and he goes like, "Back up, Jack," and then like Patrick's eyes are like still like in the guy's house.
Why is Chubby here staring at me?
Focusing.
Back up, Jack.
And then after that, like SpongeBob tells him like he has to flatter the customer, and Patrick goes, "I love you," and then like everything pauses, and then like that customer shuts the door on them.
Hello?
I love you.
Hilarious episode. Number 8, we have the classic Patrick soliloquy, where he's talking about the nature of Wumbo. I actually just like watched this episode a few nights ago. So SpongeBob stole Mermaid Man's belt, and Patrick says to him, "You have it set to M for Minnie, when it should be set to W for Wumbo." "Oh, come on, SpongeBob. I Wumbo, you Wumbo, he, she, me, Wumbo, Wumbo, Wumboing, Wumbology, the study of Wumbo? It's first grade, SpongeBob."
I Wumbo, you Wumbo, he, she, me, Wumbo, Wumboing.
I wonder if a fall from this height would be enough to kill me.
And then he also tries to get like Squidward to fall in love with like his pickle because like the two things are the same size at that point. Number 9, we have the pinky up coming from like one of the first ever episodes. So of course SpongeBob becomes friends with Sandy. And so Patrick tells him that, like, in order to be fancy, you have to put your pinky up like this. And I also love it, like, when SpongeBob is, like, telling Patrick how Sandy breathes air, and, like, Patrick goes, "Do you mean she puts on airs?" That's fancy talk.
Do you mean she puts on airs?
And then, of course, when SpongeBob is, like, dying inside the tree dome, Patrick is like, "Pinky, Pinky, you're blowing it, SpongeBob." And then Patrick, of course, comes in and, like, starts coughing and, like, dying himself.
Don't worry, buddy. You're doing fine.
Number 10. This might just be, like, a personal preference of mine, but I love the episode, like, where Squidward gets, like, cement poured on him, and he hardens up, and, like, SpongeBob and Patrick have no clue who he is, so they start calling him Smelly. And so then Smelly gets, like, locked up in some prison. Patrick and SpongeBob are trying to, like, get him out, and Patrick picks him up and goes, "I'll let Smelly go first," and, like, smashes him down the ditch.
I think we lost him.
I don't know, like, what it is, like, about that scene, but, like, Patrick's delivery is just, like, so good as always. Now, of course, there's plenty more I could have said, such as, like, when Patrick's mouth is, like, full of snowballs and, like, he has to go to the bathroom at Squidward's house. You also, like, seen talking about claustrophobia, where Patrick thinks, like, it means you're afraid of Santa Claus. Ho, ho, ho. And then, of course, you also have, like, the big fat meanie. There's so many more, like, I could have gone into. But anyways, let me know in the comments below what your favorite Patrick Star moments and lines are, and let me know, like, which ones I missed. Now next, sticking with pop culture and movies and, like, TV, I want to review the new Freaky Friday movie, Freakier Friday, which came out last year if I'm not mistaken. And speaking of freaky, I actually found out, like, a few days ago that, like, my older brother and his wife watched the movie at the same time, but that was, like, ever even talking about it. Isn't that, like, really crazy? I mean, like, all of us watched it a year after it came out. So this was not like it was just released and, like, all of us watched it on the same day. And yet we all had the idea to check it out at the same time? Very weird. Anyways, I will be doing some spoilers, so, like, this is my warning to you guys. Like, if you haven't seen it and, like, plan on it, skip past this section. So the first Freaky Friday movie is a classic, hilarious movie, came out in 2003.
Are you sick? I hope so.
I'm old!
I beg your pardon?
You have Lindsay Lohan and Jamie Lee Curtis, mom and daughter, who switch bodies and switch lives, and, like, both of them, like, are supposed to learn a lesson about the other, and to overall become more selfless. But in doing so, you have Anna, Lindsay Lohan, in her mom's body becoming a therapist, while her mom in her body is, like, going out with her boyfriend and, like, going on motorcycles, and the boyfriend, of course, falls in love with her, the mom, but, like, it's really Lindsay Lohan. Very funny.
Have a wedding rehearsal. Okay, whose? Mine.
Now, I wasn't sure, like, what to expect with this new movie. But first off, props to Lindsay Lohan, like, for getting her life together, it seems. She seems to have, like, made a really solid comeback and, like, seems to, like, have everything together now. And so she looks really good in this movie. So now this new movie starts off a little bit slow, and, like, I wasn't sure where it was going, but I'm glad, like, I stuck with it because, like, it turned out to be, like, a really good movie. And honestly, maybe slow isn't even, like, the right word here, but it felt very Gen Z in the first 10 minutes.
You two are called to be family.
Yeah, right. Don't remind me.
And I feel like that's a flaw that, like, a lot of movies try to do these days. And especially when it comes, like, to sequels or remakes. It's, like, over the top Gen Z, everything is, like, phone technology, etc. And, like, it loses some of its wholesome value.
Right over there is a QR code that you can tip me with.
But this movie managed to overcome that and get back to the good stuff, I think. So in this case, you had 4 girls who were changing lives. You had not just Anna and her mom this time, but, like, Anna's daughter, as well as, like, her daughter's enemy, who's set to become her stepsister because Anna is marrying her dad.
Change the hearts you know are wrong.
Ah! Oh my god, what is happening?
Okay,
Who am I?
It's me, it's Mom.
I'm Grandma, sweetheart.
And I, of course, love the nostalgia in this movie. It was enough of a new story to make it appealing for everyone. But my favorite part was how basically everyone from the original cast, outside of the grandfather, I think, all returned. So you had Jake still having the hots for Anna and her mom.
Not your top lip, your bottom lip.
I know what this is. You're having a stroke.
No, I just need to go to the bathroom.
You have Ryan still being Tess's husband. And also, like, Anna's band Pink Slip gets back together too. Now, in my opinion, the best nostalgia moment from this movie had to be, like, when Elton Bates, aka the principal, is still there, for Anna's daughter now. So like he was there for the mom, the daughter, and now the granddaughter. So that was a really funny moment. And you even had like the Chinese restaurant people making an appearance in this movie too. And of course, as was the classic theme from the first movie, each character had to like learn what it was like to walk in the other's shoes. And each character was like forced to learn a lesson and become more selfless. Jamie Lee Curtis was really good and like really funny. Especially when she's playing as like a kid in this old woman's body.
Nice car.
It's totally mine.
She thinks you're cute.
I do not.
So overall, I really liked the movie. I thought it was very well done. The nostalgia combined with like the new story was very good. I of course love nostalgia and like think it has a ton of value, but like so often it doesn't get done the right way. So often they either try too hard to make like a totally new story and like a totally new world, and it makes you dislike the characters you fell in love with in the first one, or the story just like falls flat. But this movie turned out to be a really good movie. So especially for all the fans of the original, I would highly recommend checking out this one too. Now next, I want to share a clip coming from Sam Demma, where he talks about like why you shouldn't sacrifice your values in order for like short-term pleasure or for some like instant reward. So let's watch this one together.
This one time while I was driving him to practice, my coach called me and said, "Sam, I got 3 tickets for you to the TFC game tonight. Bring any 2 athletes you want." And I told my coach that I'm traveling to practice with that same athlete I always drive. And so I'm gonna bring him and one other person. And I'll never forget, my coach said, "Sam, you can bring anybody except for that one athlete because he never goes to practice." And I said, "Coach, the reason he misses training is because he doesn't have a vehicle. And if me or somebody else can't drive him, he has no way to get there." And my coach started having an argument with me over the phone and said, "Sam, you can either have the tickets and take other people or you can't have them at all." I didn't take the tickets. And it taught me one of the most important lessons in my life. If you have to sacrifice your values in the pursuit of success, it is not success, it's called making a mistake.
Very well said. And like I of course wholeheartedly agree with that message and like I love it. And this is something I'm really proud of myself, especially as like a content creator. I can assure you like that every post and every video I've made and like will make has been authentic, and like everything I said in that video has been like what I truly felt at that time of making it. I never sold out for views or said something I didn't believe in just to go viral. Because I'm all about authenticity first and like putting my message first. And yes, hasn't meant like it's taking a whole lot longer for me to make it and to achieve that ultimate success. Yes, of course, but like I believe this is how I win in the long run. So yes, selling out and like only following the trends and like doing whatever the algorithm rewards at that time, it may mean short-term pleasure and like short-term rewards. But I believe it's going to lose trust long-term. Eventually, I believe like people start to see right through that. It's of course always going to be super easy to fall for the flash of the short-term fixes and short-term growth, but like how do you sustain that when you have no foundation? When your foundation is just simply based on because they told me to.
Because they told me to!
That's a pretty shaky foundation and one that's going to be exposed in the long run. I've even known some people, and like I'm not saying any names, but there was this one person who I know who was blowing up just by like hopping on every trend and not prioritizing any type of authentic message. So everything they did like felt very performative. And so of course this person was really successful. But I would so often hear people saying how fake and phony they were.
Like you didn't call me a phony!
And do people get jealous? Of course that happens. But I honestly think everyone was just like seeing right through the whole act. And so here in Sam's case, it would have been like very easy to just go along to get along, take the tickets, and put his friend down because doing so would have led to like an immediate reward. But his soul and his heart knew that like doing that wasn't the right thing to do. So it may be like the harder decision to make, but it's the one like your higher self is going to thank you for, I believe. Now finally, before diving into this week's sports recap, I want to share a clip coming from one of my recent favorite podcasts, Artist Friendly, which is of course run by Joel Madden, the lead singer of Good Charlotte. And so in this episode, he was joined by the lead singer of OAR. I think his name is like Mark Roberge. So let's check this one out together because like both of them give some profound wisdom here.
Be unapologetic about honing in on an artistic endeavor. Maybe sometimes you feel like, I know this is silly, but I like to make stuff. I know this is silly, but I like to make music and cover and art. I like to do all this wacky stuff. Now, if I can make that a living and I can do my wacky art stuff, I'm going to be unapologetic about it.
It's just wacky to a large group of people who can't see
a building where an empty lot is. If I see an empty lot and I go, I'm going to build a building here and it's going to be magnificent. Everyone goes,
where are you? Yeah. How are you?
Okay. Good luck with that.
Right.
You know, that's kind of how it feels to be an artist. They're like,
Yes.
oh, how's your little your music thing going?
Oh, every Thanksgiving.
Yeah. How's that music going there? I'm like, my
You know?
fucking band.
Love that clip. Very authentic. And as many of us know, this is like so true for anyone who's chasing after a big dream. I know this from my own experience. So a good personal story I actually have, back in high school, I told everyone like I was gonna dunk basketball despite being only 5'6", and everyone would always laugh at me. I'm not sure like if I had anyone who actually believed in me at that time. Now just to be clear, I haven't done it yet. I haven't accomplished the goal of like dunking a ball on 10 feet, but I have achieved a 36-inch vertical jump, and I've touched the rim several times now while healing from a life-threatening illness, which is like pretty crazy, I think. And I'm still working on this goal to this day. So shortly after touching the rim for the first time, I remember like running into someone from high school, and they were saying to me like how they always believed in me, they always knew I could do it, when I know for a fact like this was one of those kids who was laughing in my face back in high school. Once again, dreams are going to sound silly until they become reality. And this is why like I know I can't stop on my journey as a content creator, as an author, as an athlete, etc, etc. All those people who are thinking like it's never going to happen for me aren't seeing my long-term vision and like my potential for growth. So like as Joel just said, they're only seeing the empty parking lot, but like you're seeing the building like you're going to build on top of that. And it's really interesting because like I found that most people aren't going to support you or like your posts or buy your products until like it starts to become mainstream. I have no clue why this is, but like it's very strange. And it's the same reason why so many people out there have no issue spending money on like the Gucci brand or in that like expensive Nike shirt. But then when their friend starts up their small business, suddenly this person is broke. And some of that is of course you have to earn their trust and like you have to show them like you're really going to commit to this long term and like full time. And like you're actually going to follow through with it. But until then, it's like as he said, it's going to be, oh, how's your little music thing? Or how's your little content thing going? Anyways, let's dive into this week's sports recap. Let's go now. So let's start things off with the NBA playoffs as well as like the play-in preview. The place I want to start with is of course with my favorite team, the Los Angeles Lakers, who are down Luka and Austin Reeves, as we all know, unfortunately. And so the Lakers are going to have their hands full in round one with the Rockets. Now I could see this going one of two ways. Either it's going to be clear early on that like the Lakers are outmatched, or LeBron James at 41 is going to put together one of his best performances yet, and at least give his team a shot. The crazy thing is though, like I actually expect LeBron to do his thing. I expect him to put up like 30, 7 assists and 5 rebounds in the series, or something along those lines. The question is though, like can he do that for 5, 6, or 7 games? A younger LeBron, of course, no question about it. And even still, like at this age, I obviously know like he's gonna crush it in this playoffs. It's just gonna like come down to fatigue, how that fatigue sets in, and also like playing with no other stars. It's gonna be a tall task. I do think that like the X factors for the Lakers have a shot, assuming that like LeBron does his thing. Our DeAndre Ayton is gonna have to control the paint. He's gonna have to like rebound. He's gonna have to catch the ball. He's gonna have to give like full effort. Now, of course, the Rockets don't have Steven Adams, which should benefit the Lakers, but they are still like huge and super athletic. Ayton is gonna have to play some of the best basketball of his career, and Marcus Smart is gonna have to come up big too. He's gonna have to like slow down Thompson and maybe even KD at times, and he's also gonna have to like hit some shots on the other end too to keep the defense honest. Luke Kennard has been phenomenal in recent games, so that's gonna have to continue. It's actually really interesting to see, like, because in the NBA, you don't really ever think about like how all these guys are playing a role on every team. And with most of them, it's actually below what they're actually capable of. And so Kennard isn't just a catch and shoot player, that's just like what he plays on all the teams he's on. But he's capable of doing a lot of other things, which he's been showing recently. I also expect Rui to show up as like he's always a consistent player. But they are going up against one of the greatest scorers of all time in Kevin Durant, a super athlete in Amen Thompson. You have Şengün, the do-it-all player, Reed Shepherd, a really good scorer, Jabari Smith, etc., etc. Now, where the Lakers can take advantage of Houston is if they pressure Reed Shepherd, who's a great player, but like not a pure point guard. If they can pester him and like give him trouble with getting the ball to KD, they can maybe do something. Of course, also the longer the series goes, if hopefully the Lakers don't get swept, which I'm not counting that out, but as a Lakers fan, I just have faith. And so the longer the series goes, the greater the possibility is of like Luka coming back, maybe. I wouldn't count on it, but like it could happen. Now one other point like I want to make is that I can't stand like how everything is like a legacy thing. So I hear people saying things like, if KD and the Rockets lose the series, it's gonna like damage his whole legacy. Because of course Houston is heavily favored. But I don't like these grand statements. Because in my opinion, it's like the same reason why none of us were able to fully appreciate when LeBron led the 07 Cavs team to the finals and then they got swept, I think. We were told like as soon as he lost that, he could no longer catch MJ. So you're telling me like that MJ could have won with that team? Really? Really, guys? So it's my personal belief, like, it's best to look at a legacy. Later on, not making instant judgments every time something happens right afterwards. What if KD scores 30 every game, but like LeBron and Luke Kennard take over and have like an incredible series? Basketball, as we all know, is a team sport. So I don't like how every game and every playoffs is like either gonna catapult someone's legacy or destroy it. Anyways, rant over. Now for some other things like I want to look at in this playoffs. So in the play-in out west, you have the Clippers, Warriors, Trailblazers, and Phoenix Suns. Now, do any of those teams have a shot at beating the Spurs or Thunder in the first round? I would say a definite no. With Steph Curry, maybe you could win like a game or two if he goes off. But the Warriors team like isn't complete enough at the moment to actually win the series against one of those teams. Now, I do think the Clippers could be somewhat dangerous because of how well they finished the season, like how good Kawhi Leonard is. But I'm not sure like if they're a match for either of those teams. The Blazers are of course a good story, but like are ahead of schedule. And the Suns have overachieved greatly this year too. And with Dylan Brooks, Devin Booker, Gillespie, Grayson Allen, they are very good, but like once again, I don't see them being a match for either of those teams. Maybe they could take like 2 games at most and make it like a 6-game series. And of course you also have the Denver Nuggets taking on the Timberwolves. I like Denver a lot. They of course finished the season really hot. Even though like Aaron Gordon is like in and out of the lineup with his injuries. But that team could make a run this year. I think if they do face the Spurs in round 2, they might be like the only team who matches up well with them like in Wemby and could give them like a run for their money. Not saying it would be easy, but like I could definitely see that series going 7. Now moving over to the Eastern Conference. In the play-in you have the Heat, Hornets, 76ers, and Magic. Now can any of these teams do any damage against the Pistons or Celtics? If I had to pick the most likely team out of those 4, to at least give them like a solid series, I would have to go with like the Hornets, honestly. I actually feel like their lack of experience and like fun style of play may be good for them and like may benefit them. Because that's who they are, so like they're not going to overthink it. And they even know like they're playing with house money. The Heat have had their moments this year, and like of course you have Bam Adebayo, you have Wiggins and Powell. All are great players, but like I don't see the team being consistent enough like to make any noise in the playoffs. Joel Embiid just had like his appendix removed, so like we don't even know like if he's going to play at all. Paul George has been playing great alongside Tyrese Maxey. And Edgecombe, but like I don't think they have enough in my opinion. The Magic have been super inconsistent all year, even though like the team does have some super solid talented pieces. But I expect the Celtics to come into this playoffs very strong. And the Pistons as well, like as long as Cade is somewhat healthy. Now I would also love to see a Pistons-Hornets rematch. And Beef Stew getting in some fights. Ooh, that would be like box office. Now another interesting series in the East, you have the Knicks and the Hawks facing up against each other. And honestly, this is not a gimme series for the Knicks. I do think the Knicks probably have like the most pressure on them after reaching the Eastern Conference Finals last year and then like firing their coach. And I called it like a few months ago. Everyone out there was sleeping on the Hawks, but CJ McCollum is like a walking 20-point per game bucket getter. Kuminga was granted his freedom out of Golden State. And they've also got some shooters too. I expect the Knicks to win. I expect Brunson to have like a great series. I expect OG, Bridges, Cat, Tall play really well. But it's not going to be like a walk in the park series. I can definitely see the series going 6 games. And speaking of teams with pressure on them, I think the Cavs have some pressure on them too. They're going up against the Raptors in round 1, the 4-5 series. I think the Cavs need to make some noise in this playoffs. Now, of course, they're taking on a young upstart Toronto team. But the Cavs added Harden at the deadline. They still have Donovan Mitchell, an all-world player. They have Mobley, Allen. So I think the Cavs need to make a statement in the opening round. That team is for real. So all that being said, this should be a really good playoffs, I'm hoping and expecting. Moving ahead to some MLB news, my two favorite teams, the Mets and Yankees, have been struggling greatly over the past week, for the most part at least. The Yankees finally put on a great offensive performance last night against the Angels, as they finally scored 11 runs and finally broke out. And in that duel, you had Aaron Judge who hit 2 home runs, and Mike Trout who hit 2 home runs for the Angels too. But Ben Rice has been the only consistent monster bat for them so far this season. Judge has been picking it up recently, as all of us expected. Stanton has been solid this year. But after that Jazz Chisholm botched double play and not knowing the rule, and also all of his struggles at the plate so far, we don't want to see a repeat of last year's postseason, where the bats just fall flat. And then the other side of New York, the Mets, despite that massive payroll and all their offseason moves, have been atrocious at the plate, and they're currently under 500. Lindor is still batting the 100s, and has yet to break out. Simeon has been horrible so far this year at the plate. The pitching hasn't been horrible, but if this team wants any shot at beating the Dodgers in the NL, their bats are really going to have to get things going, and Soto's going to have to come back soon. You can't win if all these guys are hitting in the 1 and 200s. Now in other MLB news, Shohei Ohtani's up to 4 home runs at the plate, and he's reached base in 47 consecutive games. And he's yet to give up a run pitching so far too. At least at the time of filming this. Mason Miller is yet to give up a run pitching. And the Padres team has looked very promising so far, with Laureano breaking out. Tatis has been solid, and that pitching staff has been good. Those 2 walkout victories last week were very exciting. Jose Soriano, a surprising pitcher for the Angels, is currently 4-0 with a .33 ERA. And Jorge Soler, while he's been appealing that suspension, has been hitting some bombs too. And also Jordan Walker on the Cardinals is currently up to 8 home runs. He's been having a breakout year so far too. And now finally, on a side note, I'm going to give a shout out and some praise to Shaq for what he's been doing for the pro dunking world. Now I've been a fan of the sport of dunking for as long as I can remember, probably ever since watching the first Space Jam movie. And I've also been an aspiring dunker on myself on my own dunk journey, as you guys can see from the cover of my book. With of course tons and tons of training, so I can do some legs in the game. But seeing guys like Jordan Kilgannon, Isaiah Rivera, T-Dub, Chris Staples, and all these other legends go from underground to now having millions of followers has been really cool, and I love what Shaq is doing to promote that further. For those of you who don't know, he's actually starting up his own dunk league, and this is also following Dunkman, the show that he put on. So he's doing a lot of good for the sport of dunking, and bringing all this talent to the forefront of the national conversation and to national attention. And I know of course a lot of people out there are going to say, we've seen every dunk over and over again. And I do a slight fear if we see it too much, there may eventually be some level of dunk fatigue. But having seen all these guys on social media, whether it's Jordan Kilgannon, who's created hundreds of dunks of his own, and beyond that how every single dunker has their own style, so you can see the same exact dunk done 100 different ways. So I do think there's a right way to do it, and I hope that Shaq does that with this show. So I'm super excited to see what comes of this. Anyways, that's your sports recap. Let's go back to finish the video now. Anyways, that's the video. If you guys like what you heard, make sure to leave a like, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel. I will catch you guys next time. Stay positive, stay hustling, stay grinding. Catch you next time. Peace.